Hey everyone, my name is Mark, and this is your astrological forecast for the week of July 20th to 27th of 2022. Every week I go through the transits based on the cycles of the moon. So this week we have the last quarter square in Aries. It's actually a T square. Sorry for the lateness of this video. Sun opposition Pluto affected me, obviously, in my life. I'm not immune to these effects. Again, so with that being said, let's look at the charts for this week. Okay, so for this week, we start off, on Wednesday, July 20th, with this quarter square, last quarter square, moon in Aries, sun in Cancer. This is in a T square to this sun opposition Pluto that happened yesterday. As you can maybe tell, this video is a bit late this week. I'm recording this at the very last minute. In fact, this transit has already happened. Still going to go over it because it's obviously still going to be into effect and it might help to explain things for some people. But obviously, just because I know how to read these charts doesn't mean that I'm immune to the energy. So the sun opposition Pluto definitely had an effect on me yesterday. And I also find it interesting how some mainstream popular astrology people don't really acknowledge or didn't acknowledge this transit yesterday. I'm not going to get into maybe that too deep. Maybe they think because the sun aspects Pluto 4 times a year every year that it's not a big deal. But to me, I think this one was a big deal. And I think to me, it not just to me, but I think it always is a big deal because Pluto is very transformational. And when you get it into an opposition and a square, we're really that's where we make the shifts and changes in our lives. And especially here, we're never going to see Pluto in Capricorn again in all of our lives unless we live to be well over 200 years old or whatever. These things should be noted. Plus last week with that full moon and was aspecting the nodes building up into this opposition, we're at a major turning point here. And I think we need to stop ignoring certain parts of our world and realize, you know what, that some things can't just continue to be swept under the rug anymore, right? I get this is spirituality. People want to be positive. We want to be happy and positive life. And yes, that needs to happen. We need to focus on our vibration, our positivity. But that doesn't mean that we just sit here and ignore all of the shit that's happening and sweep it under the rug. It's like if we really want to see actual change in the world, we need to recognize those things. And this brings me to the point, everybody's trying to keep it positive, and I get that's not a bad thing. But at the same time, we're in a very transformative period. And it gets me to a point where if people believe that our old world before the thing is coming back, well, it's not. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a good way, as in we're moving into a new and better place. That old world died in January of 2020 with that stellium in Capricorn. It just did. All right. All this stuff is coming to the surface. There's a lot of stuff coming out and a lot of transformational things happening. We're in the chrysalis stage. We're in the stage where the caterpillar is transitioning to become the butterfly. All right. This isn't a bad time, but we need to remember that these aspects, this is a friggin' T square, okay? Somebody sees this in a birth chart and they're like, oh, you've had a certain rough part of your life, really? Yeah, you've got to work through a lot of stuff. Well, this is happening today with the moon. So it's somewhat short-lived, obviously, but that doesn't negate that it's there. And it certainly doesn't negate this sun opposition Pluto that existed the day before it either. Because obviously, I'm late with doing my stuff and having to deal with things in my life in regards to this myself, right? And needed to take a day off, needed to take that mental health day, needed to take that day, because Pluto, it's the transformer and it brings stuff up to the surface to be transformed and transmuted. This is Scorpio energy. Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio. Scorpio dives deep. Scorpio's not afraid to look at the crap. And you know what? Maybe that's why this this bothers me so much that some people didn't really touch on this is because I'm of the generation where I had my Pluto in Scorpio, or I have my Pluto in Scorpio. I'm not afraid to be like, look, this stuff needs to change, people. Like, and point it out there and stand up for stuff and actually have a pair of balls when you need a pair of balls. And that doesn't mean to say that I don't suffer from certain things like anxiety, or I felt trampled on, or I felt whatever else. We all experience these things in our lives all the time. But we can't just ignore that sometimes certain things exist. Anyway, maybe I'm just being too, I don't know, too reactive on that. I mean, the moon was in Aries. I have my natal moon in Aries, so maybe I'm just being like, this annoys me. But I also think that it does bring up a valid point in that we can't just ignore certain things when they happen. We have to make sure that, yes, we do have the time in our lives where we're able to be positive and able to align ourselves into that high vibration. Because when we do, we are actually more able to face these other things. But that doesn't mean that we don't face these other things. That means we have to do the work to put ourselves into such a state where we can remain positive and face these things and transmute them into a better place. And again, we are in a transitionary period right now due to this Sun opposition Pluto in T-square, but also because just of where we are in moving forward. I mean, Pluto was at its last degrees of Capricorn here. I mean, yeah, it's retrograde, but we're going to have the first ingress of Pluto into Aquarius next spring. And I mean, if you think the world is crazy now, well, just wait. Pluto into Aquarius? Pluto giving power to whatever sign it's in? Aquarius? Do you know what Aquarius is? Rebellion. It's, it's uniqueness. It's humanitarianism. It's the collective. It's possibly giving power back to the people, making a level playing field. Like, the people that are relying on these control structures and this Capricornian power stuff, they're panicking right now, which is probably why the world is so crazy in the way that it is. Because once Pluto goes into Aquarius, you guys, we're heading in a completely new and radical different direction, and a very positive one. And it may seem like crazy amounts of change, which there will be, but they're for the better. So again, we're in the middle of this stage, but these issues need to be addressed, is what I'm saying. And we need to realize that certain things are in fact happening in our lives. They cannot be ignored. And Pluto is here to bring this up and to transform and to give power to certain things and to reveal certain things, right? So anyways, end of my rant. I will move forward now into what this is. So Moon square the Sun. Moon in Aries, Sun in Cancer. These are both cardinal signs. This is a push forward in a new direction. Obviously, it is the moon is in square to Pluto as well, with the Sun coming off its opposition to Pluto, but still in aspect. So we've hit the peak, we've hit the breaking point, we've hit the release point. It's still happening, but we're in the waning phase now. So we're still going to have issues of this Sun opposed Pluto come up, but they're going to be more easily dealt with because it's a lot harder to deal with as you're kind of peeking into that energy, because things are coming up, it's coming at you, then it peaks. Then afterwards, they've kind of come up and you're like, okay, this is how we're going to deal with this, is how we're going to move forward, and so on. Right? This is how the cycles work. So there is this transformative aspect. And again, we're here trying Neptune, and it's at an Aries degree. So this is taking action on your intuition, on the dream. There's a dream aspect here. It's in trine, so this has to be acted on. But there is a positive energy here from this divine, this Pisces energy, to take action to move us in a different direction and to heal us in places where we need to be healed and move towards the dream that maybe we do want to live. And I mentioned this last week in the sun sign horoscopes and in all of that. Okay, this square, moon in Aries. Aries is a very masculine sign, a cardinal sign, like I said. Cancer is a cardinal sign. They're both cardinal signs. Cancer treats this in a more a nurturing way, a more emotionally nurturing way. a more mothering kind of a way to nurture and build and push things forward, whereas Aries deals with things in a more brute force masculine way. It's like, okay, we're going to do this, let's do this, and they go do this. They charge forward. It's like the warrior energy, but to me, it's just like that masculine, like, all right, we're going to do this, do it now. Just moves ahead, doesn't even think about it, it just goes in and does its thing, right? And again, with this square, we're trying to balance out this full push, like, and with the moon here, the moon is the ruler of Cancer. So this, to me, this is more of like the balancing out, using this masculine energy and this nurturing energy. How do you want to nurture this big push into this new direction, right? This is about trying to find balance in these two energies and working together to push forward, like divine masculine and divine feminine working together in their own unique sense to push things forward into a new direction through this transformative healing process that is currently happening right now, right? So we're moving forward in this. And we can look at the sun sign horoscopes, which I will post hopefully soon after this, in regards to how that will affect you. But again, it's going to go around the themes of which, like whatever houses that exist here of this sun and Pluto aspect and this moon and Aries aspect. Okay, let me check my notes here. So obviously the moon is at 27 degrees Aries. It will ingress Taurus later today. I've written here sextile Venus and square Mercury. So Venus here at 3 degrees Cancer, and of course squaring Mercury in Leo. So sextile to Venus will be nice. Again, this is a nurturing energy. So we've had this push, and now we're going to have kind of this more emotional, nurturing kind of a vibe. This could bring up aspects of career, relationships, where you want to go, what's going to make us feel good in those regards, and how we want to nurture them, specifically emotionally nurture them forward. With the square to Mercury and Leo, there may be, certain creative aspects we need to explore, balancing out, proper communication, how we're going to communicate that in a more loving and creative way, maybe. Taurus can be quite stubborn and blunt, so this may cause a bit of tension, but this could also be just, it's kind of the push forward to more of the environment that we want, a more positive kind of loving environment that we want, a more nurturing environment that we want. And again, Mercury, the local environment, but in the communication and maybe listening and aspects of maybe listening and communicating in more of that higher vibrational way instead of, just blurting it out, so to speak. Mercury here is also building in trine to Jupiter. Yeah, so that is a positive thing. So that will start. We can talk about that more when that actually comes to fruition. And Venus start to build in her square to Jupiter. So again, Venus and Cancer building in square to Jupiter. This is going to be a big push again. So I think I previously said in videos, this is nurturing more of the aspects of Venus, money, career, relationships, things to make you feel good, stuff like that. And coming up with this square to Jupiter, this is going to be a big expansion to that. Although Jupiter will be retrograde probably by the time that this happens. By the end of this week that I'm doing, so Wednesday of next week, Jupiter, I believe, is retrograde. Yeah, I think it stations retrograde on Wednesday of next week, the 27th. So we're going to have, and that's around the time that I think this aspect comes closer to peaking. We'll look at it more when we get to that. But yeah, so again, this is a balancing out between these things, but Jupiter as a benevolent planet and the square being somewhat forceful in this regard is kind of like pushing. There's this masculine push for these things to happen. And again, Jupiter being in retrograde, meaning we've gone over this ground already. And with Venus being here, we're kind of nurturing more of these aspects. So we may see things come to fruition that we've already been working on, or certain kind of windfalls in a sense, or certain kind of benevolent energy kind of coming into effect here. this may feel forced. It may not come off as being benevolent, but with Jupiter, it tends to at least try to be positive, or there may be a positive eventual outcome of certain things that happen. But I feel like with this push here, it will end up being probably more positive. We'll kind of get when that happens, what other aspects are happening too as well. So that's kind of it for this day. Usually there's lots of really powerful energy on like full moons, new moons, quarter squares, and stuff like that. But I feel like with this Pluto opposition, and even with this moon here, because there's not a lot of other transits peaking this week either, as compared to like the previous week that I've done or other weeks as well. So I think maybe because of this Sun Pluto opposition, the universe is kind of like, you know what, we'll give you some time to process this a bit, because we know that this is kind of harsh, especially with Pluto and Capricorn. Anything with Saturn Capricorn is about maturity, the lesson, growing up. It can be a very harsh kind of energy. And Pluto here is giving power to that, and it's transforming things. And this is on the axis of like our sensitivities, as well as our emotions, our home, our career things. And of course, depending on where this fits in your chart and your sign, this is different for everyone. So there's lots of upheavals. There's lots of things that are changing and changing direction and moving forward. And I think we've had so much energy into build up to this point that we're kind of, things are shifting, but they've reached a peak, and now we're going to see buildups of newer energies, and they will peak again at a later time. So we're kind of now building up, moving into a different direction. So we're not going to it's not going to be as intense, but I think a lot of the intensity, and again, throughout most of this week, is still going to be this Sun opposition Pluto. Because just because it's come off its peak doesn't mean that the transit has ended. It's still here. And it will still continue on a bit, even as the Sun ingresses into Leo, until it comes off of orb to this Pluto. Right, so we're still going to be feeling this up until, up for close to a week-ish, at least a few days. I have it written in here. I'm not sure exactly what day. We'll get to that when all right, so I think that's all I have for Wednesday here. Let's move forward to Thursday. Okay, so we move into Thursday here, and we have the moon in Taurus. So the moon in Taurus, moon came into Taurus on Wednesday, and it's going to conjunct Mars and conjunct Uranus. So again, we're going to be kind of dealing with this emotional, where do we want to build and push forward into the life that we want. With Uranus here, there could be shakeups, changes, but this could also be just moving in our own unique direction. I think Uranus here is a positive thing. It is shaking things up. It's feeling like it's negative because we're so used to a certain way. But Uranus is being like, look, these things aren't solid. I'm showing you that these things aren't working. They're not solid for you. You need to change, right? There is a better way for you. Let's go. It's like kind of like the Seven of Swords in tarot. It's like caution. I'm showing you caution. Like there's things that are going on here. Choose a new direction. There's a better direction in which we can go. And this is going to affect us emotionally and where we emotionally want to move forward. Obviously after this quarter square in a T-square, we've been through this transitionary period, and now we're kind of like nurturing these new things in a different direction. You may still be doing the same thing, but it might be in a different way. It depends on how that Sun opposition Pluto affected you, and in your chart and in your life, and the direction in which you're going to move forward. And it's like, now we're going to start to move forward in a new and a different way. And this is kind of showing you that. Again, the Sun today, in the morning at a Cancer degree, and then moving to a Leo degree later, which is the critical degree. So we'll be moving into the 29th degree of Cancer. This may feel a bit intense again on this day moving forward. But again, it's just because we're at the end of the sign, and it's always intense at the end of every sign at that critical degree. And then we're going to end up Sun ingress Leo. We do have here also as well Mercury. I have it written here. Mercury starts building square to Mars. It's probably not until later in the day. Yeah, when it probably gets to 5 or 6 degrees, it will start building square to Mars in Taurus. So again, it's going to be pushing towards possibly communicating better, but communicating our passions, communicating what we want in a more loving way, being more creative. Again, we're in a heart space and wanting to feel good space. And this is, again, the square is pushing us more into that direction and into that space. So that looks like it's all I got for Thursday. Let's move on to Friday. Okay, so on Friday here, we have more aspects with the moon, obviously, and all the outer planets and stuff. It is going to conjunct the North Node. So again, this carries on from yesterday's energy. It's Uranus moving in a new direction. This is moving in more of like the destined direction. We're going to have, it's going to be here in trine to Pluto, square to Saturn, sextile Neptune. Like it's hitting these outer planets and pushing us, like the outer planets are they represent your destiny aspect. Let's take this from a birth chart perspective. The outer planets kind of represent more of your mission in life than what the personal planets. Personal planets are more your personality. They're personal, right? The outer planets are more of like, why did you come here in this lifetime? Right? What is more of the purpose? And again, what is the purpose of the time that we're in, that we're shifting forward through, right? So this trine to Pluto, we've had this transformation. This has a more positive aspect to this in moving in that new direction from the old. And this square to Saturn, this maturity, your connections, the collective, your uniqueness, the lessons involved in this, growing up in this regard, Neptune, the dream, your intuition, pushing forward on those things in this new direction, right? So, and overnight too, the moon will come into Gemini, and then it will also at the same time sextile the sun that will have ingress Leo. So on this day after lunch, the sun will move from Cancer into 0 degrees of Leo. Right? So we are going to be feeling that shift, that huge shift of energy today on Friday as the sun does move into its home sign, actually, of Leo, in a more positive space, a more heart space. So here's where we're going to feel in that more happy summertime space, although with all of this transition going on, hard to say how fully happy that will be, but at least we have more of this positive energy and moving into this more positive direction. But remember, like I said previously, let's not forget about what's happening in the world, but let's use this energy, especially this coming sun in Leo, to keep us in a positive space so that we are more able to face a lot of the issues in our world going on from a more positive direction and to more so move it in that way instead of being stuck in a low vibration and just yelling and screaming at each other about it. Right? Let's use this power of Pluto in a positive way in this opposition rather than a negative way, right? And I think that's kind of, the lesson Saturn's trying to teach us here, what's going to be best for all of us and moving into a more humanitarian space. So, yeah. And also we have yes, Mars is coming into orb with its conjunction with Uranus. So again, as we approach the end of July, we're going to see this big Mars conjunct Uranus conjunct the North Node. I'll talk about that more when it happens. But again, this transformation of the Sun opposition Pluto is happening for a reason, because we're going to be pushing. There's going to be a big push in this new direction and into a new way, and things are going to be unstable. Things are going to be crazy, different, right? And that's why it's really weird to me that certain popular people don't talk about these transits and also what's coming, because people need to know these things. And maybe people don't, maybe they have talked about it before and people just don't want to hear it. But honestly, people, you need to hear this. Like you can't ignore this stuff. And again, this reminds me of like how people are scared to talk about issues like sex. Like, really? Sex is how you got here. You wouldn't be here if somebody didn't throw a dick in a pussy and 9 months later you popped out. Like, I'm sorry if that's rude and vulgar, but that's literally how it happens. Like this, and there's so much more to sex than just making a kid. Like, that's not all that sex is for. And sex can be done between more than just a man and a woman. You only need that if you want to make a kid. But in terms of the other benefits of sex and sexuality and other things like that, there's so much more to it, and all those things can happen regardless of what your gender is between the two of you, right? Our souls are technically androgynous. Yes, you may have a certain leaning or polarity of your soul, but you still have both masculine and feminine energy within a certain balance in you. Doesn't matter. It's just biologically, you need a sperm and an egg to make a kid. And you know what? You don't even need two humans to do that anymore. So we're evolving into a new and a different space here. We cannot be so afraid of this stuff anymore, you guys. South Node in Scorpio. Scorpio is the sign of sex. Scorpio is the sign of the shit that we're too afraid to look at. Again, my generation with Pluto in Scorpio, we're never afraid to look at this stuff. And like, this, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn or say that it's better or anything, but at the same, because everybody has the ability to look at this stuff, right? Like, and this is a big calling right now to look at the crap from our past that we're afraid to deal with, because we need to deal with it in order to move into this better space. And again, that's the transmutation of Pluto, bringing this stuff up to actually move us forward into a better space, right? So it really triggers me when people don't really want to talk about this stuff or realize that, you know what, this is actually happening. This stuff is happening, you guys. We're moving forward in a different direction. We need to change. These old ways aren't working anymore. And we need to face all of these old traumas, including sexual traumas, South Node Scorpio here, to move forward. Nothing is written in stone. Rules from 2,000 years ago don't apply now, I'm sorry. They don't. And honestly, they never fucking did. Because there are no rules to the universe. There's none. Zero. Sorry to burst anybody's bubble here, but the universe doesn't actually have any rules. It just has vibration. Like levels of vibration. High vibration connected to love, unconditional love, Low vibration, fear, negativity, all that stuff. Where are you on that scale? When you're in a high vibration, you're in alignment. You're in alignment with yourself. You're in alignment with source. You can then look at lower vibrational things without dipping down into that space. But those lower vibrations that want you there are going to knock the hell out of you to get you to come down to that space. It's levels of vibration. When you're in a high vibration, when we're in that high vibrational state, we don't need all of these rules, because all of that crappy shit isn't going to happen. But we have to bring that up. That has to be transmuted and let go of, because you can't carry that low vibrational weight to be in that high vibrational state. That's why with certain aspects like mindful meditation, you focus on your breath to get rid of the weight of your mind, to allow yourself to align back into that high vibrational state. Because it's those negative thoughts and those incessant thoughts in your head that are weighing you down. They're keeping your focus away from who you actually are in your own heart, right? That's where a lot of this stuff is coming from. And this Pluto, this Sun opposition Pluto, this transformational thing, this stuff that's going to happen at the end of July, pushing us in a new direction. We need to stop being pussies. Look at this stuff and move forward into a new space and realize shit isn't working. Let's go in a different way. Because if we don't recognize that, the universe is going to do it for us. Because if we don't pay attention to these aspects, when they happen, we're literally going to get knocked flat on our fucking ass. Dead ass. I'm sorry, but that's just what it's going to be. Dead ass, no cap, whatever the kids are saying these days. I joke, but it's really no cap. You will get knocked on your ass if we don't pay attention to this stuff. Like, honestly. Anyways, I'm getting riled up again. What else do my notes say? Mars moving into its conjunction to Uranus. Okay, that got me triggered. Let's move on. Friday is done. Move forward. Let's go to Saturday now. Okay, so on Saturday here, kind of looks from my notes to be a bit of a positive day. We do have Mercury trine Jupiter. We'll get to that in a second, though. So we'll talk about the moon here. So the moon, now in Gemini, came into Gemini overnight. Excuse me, sorry. And it's going to sextile Mercury and Jupiter. So again, we're in some positive energy, positive benevolent energy here. This Jupiter energy is Mercury in Leo. You know, this heart expression, creative mind expression. The moon in Gemini, curiosity, maybe emotional curiosity, expressing this. So again, this can be a very positive, emotional, expressive kind of a day. But in a more so like outgoing, I want to say outgoing masculine kind of energy. It's very extroverted, but very positive extroverted. So I feel like again we've had this Sun opposition Pluto shift, and now we're kind of having this positive, a more positive vibe happening, which is good. We do have Mercury in exact trine to Jupiter. This is at 8 degrees, so this is a Scorpio degree. Again, in that there could be some transformative things that happen through this. Again, this is positive, but you may end up facing certain things. I mean, Jupiter is expanding here, maybe your aspects of your heart, your creativity, your uniqueness. And with that Scorpio degree, it may be the desire to maybe more so push in this direction. And it could be in a sexual direction as well, as Scorpio does rule intimacy. Again, I'm not going to sit here and be afraid to talk about sex. When people talk about the 8th house, oh, it's about power and your drive and stuff. Yeah, it's also about fucking. It is. I'm just going to put it out there. It is. Scorpio is a sign of sex and death. About stabbing someone in the heart, and also about fucking them. Anyway, so this can be, yes, in regards to intimacy and maybe throwing your dick in a hole. And this is, again, in masculine signs, so it might actually be about communicating the fact that you want to throw your dick in somebody's hole. But, and I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone, but if you're honestly offended by this, then you need, and again, I'm not trying to negate anybody's sexual traumas. Sexual traumas do exist, and I'm sorry if those things have happened to you. But there are ways in which you can get help. And if you do have sexual traumas, I hope that you do get help, and I hope you do get through this, because they can be very traumatic. But again, for most people, stop with the trauma. Stop with like the, oh, we can't talk about that. Okay? We've just been through this Pluto transformational shit. Pluto's the ruler of Scorpio, of the sex, of the intimacy, of transformation. You want to talk about transformation in regards to sex? Sex can be very healing. I'm not going to dive into this, but it's the energy and frequency of all of that. But anyways, Jupiter trine Mercury, Scorpio degree. This may give you more power and drive. Your desire to communicate or to move forward into your passions. These are passionate fire signs, right? Leo's all about love, expressing oneself. Aries is about the self, the expansion of this energy, and it's also the expansion of the mind in terms of creativity and love and this self-expression. So it's this loving yourself and expressing yourself in this passionate way. It's again in this Scorpio state, in this passionate way, and not being afraid of that, to look at yourself in that loving way, and that might end up transmuting those old negative beliefs and ways away from that space, so you can look at yourself in a more positive and loving way, right? Again, this isn't a bad thing. Looking at sex, looking at Scorpio, looking at these things is not a bad thing, because when you face them directly, you end up transmuting them or moving into a different state. You heal from it. Scorpio is extremely healing energy. People give Scorpios a bad rap. They don't deserve the bad rap that they get, because they're the only ones with the balls to actually go and face a lot of this shit in the world and transmute it and try to make their lives better, right? Anyway. Yeah, so the sun will also move to an Aries degree this day. Again, more masculine energy. So there's this positive masculine energy coming up, this drive for this expression and to move forward. But I feel like this is in a much more positive way now that we've had this, again, this sun opposition Pluto, this healing. We're moving into this positive extroverted state. There's an expression that's happening here. Again, the sun moving to an Aries degree. And Mercury will start to build in its trine to Chiron. And one thing I did forget to mention last week is that Chiron went retrograde on Tuesday. So again, this is the wounds to self, where we may feel, I kind of want to say outcast, but not really outcast. It's kind of in a sense. It's where we feel wounded in our own self that we may be afraid to express to others. But I think with this Mercury building here, in the sign of like Leo love and also self-love and self-expression, it's going to help with that. And with Chiron going retrograde, we're going over old ground, right? So we're moving through these old spaces, or this stuff has come up and we're going back over them and maybe viewing them now with this Mercury here in a new light, in a new loving light, to love ourselves more and in the expression of our own uniqueness. Like this could be the wounds to self that we can, use to help other people that may have experienced those things in different ways and learn to, help each other and understand where we fit in the world. And I've talked about things like that before. All right, so that's all I have for Saturday. Let's move on to Sunday. Okay, so on Sunday, we have and it's almost exact here. Yeah, it is exact here. The moon sextile Chiron. So again, like I talked about on Saturday, sorry, we're into Sunday now. Did I say Saturday? I don't remember. We're on Sunday. Moon sextile Chiron. So these aspects of self wounds, but now this is emotionally, maybe we're emotionally facing them, emotionally expressing them, having maybe more of a nurturing curiosity to these things, especially now that Mercury is building into into its trine, with Chiron. So viewing this maybe from a more loving, heart-centered space, a more nurturing space with the moon here in Gemini towards these self wounds and our uniqueness, and of course trying to integrate them, face them, heal them, and use them as empowerment, right? When negative things happen in our lives, it's better to use them as a crutch to move up and higher rather than to let them just destroy us and tear us down, right? When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. So, and Chiron does have that effect. It's about the integration of these wounds because, again, that's part of the aspect in a birth chart, part of the aspect or the purpose of your life in terms of where your Chiron is the integration of these wounds and the understanding of what this uniqueness means for you in your lifetime and also what it aspects within your chart. So collectively though, and how I'm reading this is for the self in relation to us in the collective, right? So, and how our uniqueness is, and those wounds may help to boost us and lift us up if we look at them from this nurturing, mothering state, like how a mother loves a child, or this trine to Mercury and Leo, this love aspect. When we think of it in terms of loving ourselves or communicate these things in a more loving way, or use the communication of them in a loving way in order to help each other. Right? Okay. What else we got today? So, yeah, the nodes now move to 19 degrees. So this, I have it written as a Libra degree. And it's moving again, and it's closer to its conjunction to Uranus. So this shift in direction, Libra is about relationships, about balance. And I feel like this coming up, these wounds to self, this loving ourselves, this expressing this, again, you need to love yourself before you can love somebody else. Or maybe moving towards a more balanced state or a more relationship enforced state with each other are moving into this, this direction. Libra is also about justice. But yes, this is moving closer, and it's pushing itself closer because Saturn is still square the nodes too, and it's pushing itself back closer into this square with Saturn. So again, the balance in relationships, especially in terms of our connections, where do we fit in the maturity and the growth that is going to come about through this. But again, my focus is kind of more so on this Uranus conjunction. As it moves closer, we're going to start to see more and more this Uranus conjunct the North Node in Taurus, moving in a better direction for us materially in that way. And this could bring up, this may look negative. Like I said, no cap, gonna drop you on your ass if we don't do anything about what we've been seeing. So if we don't do a lot about what's happening in our world right now, we may see a lot more economic issues and a lot more issues regarding supply chain, food supply, all of that stuff completely coming up. Because unless we look at these problems, Uranus is shaking things up to show us what isn't working. Unless we get off our ass and actually do something to fix it, we're going to be thrown back on our ass, dead ass, to see that, oh shit, we should have dealt with this. I guess we fucked up. Now we have to move forward in a different direction. This is going to force the different direction. We had the choice to look at this before and be like, okay, this stuff is happening. We can shift the direction now so that shit doesn't hit the fan. Well, if we don't shift the direction, the proverbial shit is going to hit the proverbial fan. I'm sorry to say, but it will. And with Mars being there, yeah. So again, we've moved in this direction, and Libra is all about balance and justice. So yeah, another direction where we got to pay attention to these things. It's what I'm trying to bring up, what I'm trying to say. Don't just shove this under the rug and focus on, oh, Sun is now in Leo. Let's all be happy and positive. It's summer. Yes, let's all be happy and positive. It's summer in the Northern Hemisphere. But let's use that positivity to bring us into a place of fucking alignment so that we can deal with the shit that's happening in our world and move ourselves in a more positive fucking direction. Sorry for being blunt. But seriously. Seriously. Okay. Anyways. What else do I have for Sunday? Ooh, Sun starts building in its trine. Well, it is not showing here, but Sun will start building in its trine to Jupiter later in the day. Again, that's good energy. Sun, Jupiter. Beautiful. Expansion, again, of this benevolent masculine pushing forward in this new direction. Right? So we may end up dropped on our ass, but like this is building up this positivity, helping to build up this positivity in a different direction, right? More extroverted direction. We're moving forward in this space, right? Anyway, all right, that's all I have for Sunday. Let's move on to Monday. Okay, so on Monday here, we're going to have overnight into the morning this Venus square Jupiter aspect happening. This is happening again at a Scorpio degree. Yeah. Okay, anyway. We need to talk about that again. Scorpio degree, so giving power, possibly transformative power to these aspects. Again, Venus in Cancer is about nurturing relationships, career, money stuff. Being at 8 degrees of Scorpio degree, the Scorpio Taurus axis does deal with money, abundance, manifestation kind of stuff. And in terms of relationships, can deal with intimacy. Jupiter here, there's an expansion of this. In Aries, there's this desire, this masculine drive. And again, this could be this push. And I think I mentioned earlier in this video, it was going to happen probably when it's retrograde. It's not retrograde. But Jupiter will come retrograde in the next couple of days. So it's basically stopped. If we really want to see this here, we can switch to Jupiter. We can see how fast it's moving. So 39 seconds. If you looked at the ecliptic coordinates here, 0, 0, 39 seconds. And this in the next couple of days, it does drop to 0. So it's not moving very fast. Right? So again, in this square, this can be very transformative in terms of relationships. There could be a sexual and an intimate aspect to relationships. I'm not going to be afraid to bring this topic up in terms of astrology because Scorpio does rule sex and intimacy. Let's not forget that. But yes, it does rule power, transformation. This could be transformation in terms of your relationships. It could be manifesting abundance as well. The Scorpio, that power, that focus, that drive, especially with Venus here, career, money aspects, Jupiter, benevolence, the gift. In Aries, the self, right? There could be something coming here, and it could be this, it's this cardinal push. There could be something peaking and happening here, some kind of abundance coming to you. Even in the form of a relationship or money or career aspects, something like this happening. And again, this could be transformative, this could be manifested. And it could have something to do with sex. It could just be you wanting to have a hot, sexy romp with your significant other or whoever. Right? Like this. But this is in like a nurturing heart space. So we're nurturing it, and it's a relationship. So we're nurturing something here, right? And this could have to do, again, Venus aspects, money, career, relationships, that kind of stuff. Okay. Okay. Also on this day, we're going to have the moon come into Cancer. So it's going to be in its home sign of Cancer. So we're going to feel more of that nurturing kind of emotional type vibe energy. Sun is moving from a Taurus degree, 2 degrees, into a Gemini degree. So there may be a curiosity. There may be alter ego aspects that come up in this regard. It may be more fast-paced as well. Maybe a very fast-paced day near like the end of the day. Very quick-minded, quick-witted, things like that. Okay, Mercury starts. So Mercury does start. So Mercury is starting to build and square to Uranus and as well to the nodes. So again, this self-expression and this expression of love, we're now squaring and aspecting Uranus. So again, in regards to our uniqueness, the change in direction on a more humanitarian direction, in the direction for kind of you and yourself, and moving forward in that, that aspect is going to start to build, and we'll talk more about that when it happens next week. Because I don't think it's gonna peak. It'll be on next week's video. And then Venus starts building sextile to Mars. So if we bring it up here, not quite yet. I think that's kind of near the end of the day because Mars is at 13 degrees. Oh no, where are we here? Maybe at 10 degrees. It's not aspect. But at the end of the day, it's going to start. But Venus will start building in her sextile to Mars. And again, this is the masculine and feminine energies, divine masculine, divine feminine energies working together through the sextile. This is a positive energy. This is very nurturing energies. This is nurturing these aspects of relationships, our passions, our careers, making money, where we want to go in this new direction, right? So this is a very positive aspect. And again, we're pushing forward in a new way. We've had this transformative stuff happening. This is all a shift of the energy into a new cycle and into a new way and manifesting in a new way. Okay, so I think that's all I have for Monday. Let's move on to Tuesday. Okay, so on Tuesday here, we have the moon in Cancer. It's going to square Jupiter, sextile Mars, and also square Chiron. So we're bringing up these aspects of our wounds again, sensitive aspects of self, but this is in a square aspect this time. So this is more of a push to nurture these and reveal these again. These are things that are coming up. Again, now Chiron is retrograde now. So we've kind of gone over these things. So it's things that we've already gone over since Chiron shadow, probably since more in the beginning of the year. So these are things that have already come up. We've already seen these wounds. Now we're kind of like nurturing them, as in like looking after them, right? How a mother nurtures a child if they were hurt or injured in some way. But this is a square aspect. So this is kind of forcing this to happen. And it's the square of this Jupiter and Aries. This can be benevolent, but again, this is also like, this can be like reactive in a sense. It provides this push. So again, it's this balance of this cardinal energy between this nurturing and also this masculine push, right? Finding balance within that, especially in regards to our woundings, our expression of them, our treatment of them, as well as in regards to our emotions as well in this place. And the moon will be on top of Venus as well, it looks like, as it does this. So this could have, these woundings could have, well, it'll come off of Venus, but it'll still have, but it's still kind of an aspect as well. But so it may have aspect in terms of our relationships, maybe our careers, how we make money. This could, maybe you were injured in some way or hurt in some way in terms of a career, and this could be some kind of help in that regard. With the moon here, emotional, like again, this is a nurturing energy. This is looking after ourselves and our wounds and in our own selves, and not acting like the victim, but there's a benevolent aspect kind of happening here with this energy. And this sextile Mars, we have the masculine also helping us out in the nurturing sign of Taurus, physically nurturing, physical abundance, right? Moving in a more positive feeling and healing direction, right? So again, these transformations of Pluto at the beginning, before this quarter square and during this last quarter square, and now we're kind of like moving, taking action, and there's kind of like this healing aspect now happening, right? Because again, the sun, Pluto, it's transformation. It's also healing. It might hurt for these things to come up, but it's very healing for it to do so, right? And the sun is still in its opposition here, but this day it will be moving off. So when the sun moves from Gemini degree 3 degrees to 4 degrees to Cancer degree, that nurturing degree, so again, we're having like this nurturing kind of a day, it will then also move off of its opposition to Pluto. So we're now in more of this healing phase of these wounds that have come up, or these transformations that have happened, and now we're healing and moving forward, right? And also too, it looks like we have this Mercury. Did I mention? Yeah, Mercury. So we're getting to it. Mercury squares Mars this day as well, exact at 14 degrees. But also Mercury does start after this its opposition to Saturn. So this Mercury square Mars, again, Mars and Taurus, this nurturing our passions, or passionately nurturing things. And this is also, Mercury here in Leo is the expression of love, the expression of self, the expression of self-love, being in the spotlight. This could be our passions in regards to that, putting them out there. But there's this nurturing aspect, this physical nurturing aspect, and this expression of love, and this self-expression, this shining your light that exists in this as well. And this square is kind of pushing these things. It's pushing this balance of this expression of love, and also this physical nurturing, or this nurturing of passion into the life, and where do you want to go? And again, Mercury will start later in this day to begin its opposition to Saturn. And this can be tough, because remember, we're learning to love ourselves, but also dealing in terms of our connection to others, maybe where we fit in our connection to others. And again, the old adage, you got to love yourself first before you can love somebody else. There's a maturity and a lesson that may somewhat be involved in this. So we may start to begin to feel a restriction in these areas later as we move through to the end of the day. Let's move on to Wednesday now. Okay, so we kind of got lots of stuff with the moon going on here on Wednesday. It is building up to this new moon in Leo that will happen on Thursday, the 28th. Again, we're going to be beginning a whole new cycle of the moon. So this last lunation cycle, as you can see on the left side of the screen here, started June 28th. Now we're going to have a new moon cycle, lunation cycle, starting at the end of July. Again, with the new moon in Leo. So that's why we have a lot of this energy is shifting. And this is such a transformational phase and time, right? Especially since we had this opposition to Pluto. Again, this stuff shouldn't be ignored, people. It's going to annoy me to no end. But anyway. Yeah, so we're going to have the moon. It's going to sextile Uranus and the nodes, or aspect the nodes, right? The emotional direction, again, that we're shifting towards before we hit this new moon. Again, we're nurturing this shift, this move in this direction. As you can see, like, if you look at the minutes here, we're 1 degree away from this literal conjunction of Uranus and the North Node. Like, this is building. And this nurturing, this emotional nurturing is going to happen. Like, we're going to possibly feel these emotional shifts in a new direction. Right? And it's going to try Neptune, oppose Pluto. So again, now we're going to have the moon oppose Pluto. So we're going to have this nodal aspect, and now the moon is going to have this emotional transformational shift, although it's going to be a hell of a lot quicker than when the sun does it. And then we're going to move into Leo on Thursday and have this new moon aspect. But it's also going to be in trine to Neptune at this 25 degrees, taking action on your intuition, building the dream. This could be confusion. But again, we're in a water signs. This is a transformational aspect, and it could be transforming into this dream, into more of a allowing spirit to guide you, kind of benevolent, take action on your intuition kind of an energy, follow the dream. But again, this could also be emotionally confusing. This could also be very sensitive to harshness too, at an Aries degree pushing forward. There may be sensitivities in regards to that, but I almost feel like this is giving power to this feminine energy. So I don't know if that'll come up in that way, but we'll just kind of have to see how it plays out. Also on this day, Mercury will be in exact trine to Chiron. So again, we're dealing with these wounds. The more loving look at these wounds and expression of these wounds, this is powerful masculine energy, but this is loving masculine energy. We're talking about Leo here, right? And Mercury in Leo is this creative, loving expression. But Leo's also not really afraid to say things. Like, Leo's in the spotlight, right? It wants to be in the spotlight, but it's very kind-hearted. But it's starting its opposition here to Saturn. There may be a certain lesson to be learned here, maybe a career, or where we fit into the collective, or a unique career aspect. Maybe kind of maybe feeling that. I don't know. Trying to, our uniqueness and how we kind of fit in. But again, with this trine, this is positive energy. This is, maybe more so healing our emotional wounds of self through this expression of heart in this way, as the moon does oppose Pluto this day to bring up and transform that stuff as well. As I'm kind of being drawn again to this T-square here, Mercury is squaring the nodes, and also in its opposition to Saturn. So this could be also more of a kind of an intense time, as Mercury does build into the square with these nodes, and the direction in which we're going in the expression of love of ourselves and just of love in general, and how this, through this almost like restriction or this lesson learning, this collective lesson that needs to be learned in terms of this expression of love. And in this trine to Chiron in Aries of, our wounds, not hurt each other anymore, not play the victim, but also to not hurt each other and to integrate these wounds and to help each other in certain expressions of love. And of course, that also starts with self-love. And the sun also moves to a Leo degree today, on this day as well. So from a Cancer degree to a Leo degree, again, with this expression of love, moving more into this love space. As we approach the new moon in Leo, the cycle of love, right? It's all about love, self-expression, creativity, creative expression. And my last note here, Jupiter almost stopped, stations retrograde tomorrow. So if we take again a look at Jupiter, now it's only moving 15 seconds a day. Again, by the end of the day, this drops to almost nothing. It is still slightly moving forward slowly, but it's going to drop almost nothing, and then it will go retrograde. It will be retrograde, I think, till the end of the year. So, and again, this will be going over old ground in terms of gifts, expansion, and especially in terms of self and where we've kind of taken ourselves in the past few months, almost since the beginning of this year-ish, heading into kind of springtime until now. Those themes, again, Jupiter themes will continue to come up, or we'll be going over those old grounds again, also through the other transits and aspects that will go through this. Anyway, that's all I have for this week. Sorry again for being late, but again, I'm not immune to everything that happens energetically in life. So yeah, anyway, let's get into the cards then. Okay, so we'll pull some cards for this week. Again, the deck I use, if I turn it right side up here, is Guardian Angel Messages Tarot by Radley Valentine. Not too much, again, peaking this week, so we won't have too many things to pull cards for. But again, I feel like this is a more positive energy after that whole transition of that Sun opposition Pluto. We've got transits happening at like Scorpio degrees too, so the intensity is there, and so I don't really think there's. And again, we're in the middle of a shift, also of energies. So yeah, things are ending, new things are beginning. We're going to see more things peak near the closer we get to the end of this month. All right, so the first thing I'm going to pull for here is we're going to have that quarter moon in Aries, the T-square that happens Wednesday. So let's see, quarter moon in Aries, T-square on Wednesday. What does the universe want us to know for that? So we have the King of Fire, inspirational, charismatic, and innovative. So again, moon in Aries, this is a very like masculine sign. The moon is like nurturing emotion. This is definitely, this can also be more like big picture thinking, but this is like that masculine, like the king, that push in terms of like that passion. This is ruling through our passions and pushing, and definitely pushing forward with that. So yeah, inspirational, charismatic, innovative. That inspiring drive, that push to move forward into something new. Good. All right, let's move on now to next aspect here we're going to look at is, Sun ingress Leo on Friday. So let's look at, it's a bit of a shuffle here. We're going to look at so on Friday, what does the universe want us to know about the Sun ingress Leo? Sun coming into Leo. Not too much popping. Sun ingress Leo on Friday. Sun ingress Leo on Friday. Man, come on. Sun ingress Leo Friday. Come on now. Sun ingress Leo Friday. Sun coming into Leo. What does the universe want us to know? Sun coming into Leo. What does the universe want us to know? Sun coming into Leo. What does the universe want us to know? That's not, come on, universe. It's a hard one, I guess. Sun coming into Leo. Come on, Sun ingress Leo. What do you want us to know? What's the energy of that? Okay. Knight of Earth, organized, responsible, and supportive. I'm being drawn to the more supportive word in this card. This is traditionally the Knight of Pentacles. So this can be slow growth, slow movement forwards. The Knight of Pentacles is the slowest knight. Again, this is a youthful energy. This is like teenage, almost young adult type energy. It's almost like coming to the rescue. But again, I'm just feeling more of like the supportive aspect. There's loving support coming in through this Sun in Leo. And again, that goes with the transits and all the aspects and things that are happening. So again, I think we're moving into a more positive space after this transformation. But, you know, it was that chrysalis stage, and now we've kind of hit that through that shift. So the next one we got on Saturday here, Mercury trine Jupiter at a Scorpio degree on Saturday. So let's look. Mercury trine Jupiter. What do we want to know? What does the universe want us to know? Mercury trine Jupiter on Saturday. Mercury trine Jupiter on Saturday, Scorpio degree. Mercury trine Jupiter on Saturday. Seven of Swords. So awareness, caution, and consequences. I think this could be bringing up because that I see the Scorpio degree there. It's kind of what I'm somewhat being drawn to. Scorpio tends to look deep into things. Scorpio always dives deep. It likes to penetrate deep. Okay, it's Scorpio. But with this Mercury trine Jupiter, Mercury is very small, and this could be this expansion of trying to, you know, look at the details, be aware of the direction that you're going in, and it's bringing these aspects up. I'm feeling more of like awareness. It's bringing awareness to certain aspects and certain things. Because again, this is Mercury in Leo, and this is Jupiter in Aries. So this is benevolent energy. This card may not seem very benevolent, but this is bringing up that awareness of like what path, what direction are we moving in, and it's helping to bring this up. You know, that Jupiter in Aries may be such a big push that it's like, oh, it's making us aware. Well, hold on a second, you know, and at that Scorpio degree, it's diving deep into where we're actually going. So this is bringing awareness to our minds of, you know, where we are going, and is it from a loving space? Mercury and Leo, a loving space. Okay, so then we're going to have Venus square Jupiter on Monday. Take a look at that. Okay, let's look at Monday. Venus square Jupiter, also at a Scorpio degree. Monday, Venus square Jupiter. What does the universe want us to know? Monday, Venus square Jupiter. Monday, Venus square Jupiter. We've got like a couple cards kind of stuck here. Okay, so we've got the 3 of Earth and the 5 of Air. And I feel like with that Scorpio, it could be that push. So we got Venus and Cancer. These Cancer squares are kind of... So, okay, let's look at this card first. So 3 of Pentacles, they have talent, recognition, and collaboration. This is working with others to get the job done. This is like working through your talents, using your talents to build, to move forward with something, and collaborating, right? And then this next card here is the 5 of Air. It says mistakes, melodrama, and reassessment. This is the card of pushing too hard. So with this Venus square Jupiter, Jupiter being this large planet and Venus trying to just nurture its way through Cancer, this could be you trying to push too hard on your talents, right? There may be this direction here that you're trying to go in, to work together on, push forward, but it may be this recognition that, again, with Venus and Cancer, it takes time to nurture and build these things. Because we're in the square here, and Jupiter's in Aries, and wants to push forward and expand, but that's not really what might be of benefit. So it's kind of about balancing this energy out, again, in terms of where you want to go and the push in where we want to go in this regard. So that's interesting. Okay, so the next one, second last one here, is Mercury square Mars on Tuesday, a Taurus degree. Okay, Mercury square Mars here on Tuesday, a Taurus degree. Mercury square Mars. Mercury square Mars on Tuesday, a Taurus degree. Mercury square Mars on Tuesday. Ooh, that's popping. This doesn't surprise me with Mars and Taurus. So we have the Empress, creation, abundance, and action. So yeah, so Mercury in Leo is a sign of creativity, creative expression. Mars in Taurus is obviously like nurturing, building kind of what we want. It's the sign of birth, right? It's about growing plants, growing gardens, so this is like nurturing. This is definitely, yeah, creation, abundance, action. So it's nurturing the abundance, nurturing it and bringing it forward, especially at a Taurus degree. Like, come on, we're definitely nurturing and building something, and through creation, through our hearts, and within a heart space in the direction in which we want to go. Last one, Mercury trine Chiron on Wednesday at a Cancer degree. Mercury trine Chiron. Okay, Mercury trine Chiron. Let's see. We've kind of, that's too much coming up. Let's go Mercury trine Chiron, Cancer. Mercury trine Chiron was the universe wants to. The Knight of Cups, romantic, emotional, dramatic. This is kind of like the card of romance, like the knight in shining armor, but I always, and I mean, yeah, that's what typically it is, but it's also your emotions. This is maybe being rescued by someone. Again, we're kind of dealing with our wounds here in Chiron. Mercury is in Leo, love, and it's at a Cancer degree, so it's being emotionally nurturing. So I feel like the knight is kind of like nurturing these wounds again through aspects of love to ourself. So there may be a knight in shining armor aspect, showing up and coming through this. Okay, that's all I have for the cards for this week, and that's all I have for this week for this video. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. If you want, follow me on social media or get a reading or get any more information on me or anything, all those links are in the description below. Thank you again for watching, guys. Have a good week. See you in the next one. Bye for now. Bye.